I am learning from you trust administrations.
Right.
And that's something that is, I've heard the term and I've done a little bit, but I am working on with you now, learning a little bit more and kind of digging deeper into that and the process with it.
So what we're talking about is that people often these days they are passing away having a living trust. People have a living trust for the purpose of avoiding probate. And so let's just say they've named their oldest son Mike to be the successor trustee. Mom and dad have passed away. In theory, Mike could do the whole trust administration without ever going to see a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And often Mike might do that without seeing a lawyer. Sometimes there are complications, and at that point in time, Mike would come to the Olsen Law Group and say, look, I need help with this trust administration,
Right.
and that's where we get involved.
And the people that come and do that, they want to dot their I's and cross their T's.
Yeah, exactly. So you might say, well, Tom, when is that necessary? And I would say, there are some examples of when it's necessary, but if Mike came to us and said, Tom, I've got a family member who's a black sheep, it's going to be a problem, issues, they're already calling us, they've already hired a lawyer. That's where Mike would want to hire the Olsen Law Group to do this trust administration for him, to make sure, as you say, cross all the T's, dot all his I's, because the Florida statutes have a very specific requirements that Mike has to go through to do this trust administration. And we want to make sure, in most simple terms, we're going to tell Mike, look, our goal, Olsen Law Group, is to make sure you do this trust administration and you don't get sued.
Right.
Very important. I would say the other thing is that when somebody does a trust where they've named a lot of charities as beneficiaries, is another opportunity where they'd also want to hire an attorney to help them with the trust administration to make sure things get done properly.
And this is, to me, always a good learning point when we do the trust administration, because of course, trusts are good in certain circumstances, but this is an example and a kind of a teaching point where it can make things more complicated.
It can.
Trusts are not always so simple.
Exactly. It's not as simple as they seem.
Yes.
And so we're always happy to help people with that trust administration. Now, sometimes when we're doing trust administrations for people, they just need a little bit of advice. They just need a little bit of help. They just need a form or two filled out and they're on their way.
Right.
Sometimes a trust administration is as complicated as doing a probate. It can last for months and months.